Good morning, kids, and welcome back to another video of Fox Flicks on Josh Scorcher. Today we're checking out his top 10 list of the top 10 illusion bosses. Let's hop in and see just who can trip up our minds.
Most video game bosses tend to be more corporeal with their threats.
Not these ones.
These are the ones that mess with your grasp of reality. They mess with your perceptions. They make
What's
you question
real? What's
what
fake?
is real.
What's...
They wear you down, not with damage to the
is?
body, but to the mind. And often the body by proxy.
Ow.
To place high on this list, a candidate must wield illusions to make the
that
player
guy's from
question
Evil
their
Within.
grasp on reality, be as mentally distressing to the player as they are to their character. Oh yes, this is not just which ones can break the fourth wall. That can help, but it's all in the method.
Ooh, I hope there's in the future a top 10 fourth wall breaking bosses. Now that would be kind of cool to see. Unless he's already done that. If he has then let me know by throwing that down in the comments below. Thanks. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. Oh, catnap. Alright, so this is gonna be good.
Dead Space primarily relies on horrific imagery and sound to deliver its nightmare fuel directly into your veins. But that's not to say
Right to the cranium!
it can't be just
know
as
why I did
effective
that.
when it comes to a psychological angle. If you want an example of that, take a look at the story of Nicole Brennan. Prior to the game's events, Nicole was a medical officer and a love interest to the main character, Isaac Clarke. She was an ideal operative, saving as many lives as possible until she ended her own. Rather, understandably, Isaac is haunted by the whole ordeal and blames himself for it. Gee, I sure hope that doesn't result in him suffering from hallucinations.
Nah, the dude's got like straight up PTSD up in this.
Sir, this is the scariest moment of my life.
As things go on, however, Nicole begins to take a different tone. She goes from a horrific vision to something resembling a benevolent spirit. She guides Isaac to the marker so he can destroy it once and for all. And what do you know?
Nope.
It's a trap! Inside Isaac's own mind, he must destroy the marker's final influence. The visuals are just great here. I mean, look at this.
Oh yeah.
Yow!
That is
Fortunately,
crazy on
the
the
actual
eyes.
boss fight itself has the exact same problem as the hive mind from the previous game. Despite the excellent build-up, it's pathetically easy. In fact, it's arguably worse here. There's only one glowing weak spot to shoot. Still, the story's relevance
Only
and
one.
usage of psychological horror earned it a place on this list. You know, between the Dead Space remake and the latest Star Wars games, EA's been less horrible these days. Somehow I don't think that'll apply to the next Dragon Age.
Oh boy. Can't wait to see what that's gonna be like.
In Metal Gear Solid 3, the main antagonists you
Oh,
face off
Snake
against
Eater.
are the Cobra Unit. 6 elite soldiers, each with their own style of combat. These range from sniping, pyromania, predator-esque stealth, hornet bending, or CQC.
Ah yes, hornet bending. What? Dude, no, he's just straight up the bug guy from Naruto. I can't remember the guy's name.
By far the most unique one is the Sorrow. Oh yeah, this guy takes a completely different approach to combat than his contemporaries. Rather than kill him, you have to survive. You can't even damage him as he has 0 health. The only way to win is to slowly trudge through an entire river while avoiding
Just
everything
keep
he throws at you.
walking.
You're like trying to do that when the ghosts of literally everyone you've killed throughout the game will come back to haunt you. Or you could just cheese it by dying on purpose and then taking the pill.
Bust out like a
Pill.
But then you won't get the really good camo upgrade. This being Metal Gear, there's more than
good
one
camo.
tactic to succeed. The ghosts that appear are only of enemies that you personally kill. If you went
look at
purely
that.
for stealth, you could just casually stroll to the end. If it wasn't obvious enough, the Sorrow is revealed to have been...
Okay, no, that's actually a pretty damn good mechanic. And it's like, you kill people, now you gotta deal with a ghost. You sneak past people, you don't gotta deal with shit.
a ghost the whole time. His goal wasn't to get in Snake's way, but to help him understand the ramifications of his actions. He even reappears in 4 to help a screaming mantis. You know, for a guy named the Sorrow, he's surprisingly helpful.
Yeah, apparently. I guess he's no longer Sorrow, but the helpful.
Illusions come in many
Yeah, bad
forms,
pun,
but
bad
some of the
pun.
most well-known are those coming from our own unconscious
What
psyche.
the-
We've all had weird dreams that make zero sense before, but once they turn
That's
into
all.
nightmares,
No.
they can be harrowing expressions of our darkest fears. And our number 8 here weaponizes that. The Mario and Luigi series is well known by now for having some of the most standout villains the Mushroom Kingdom's ever seen. But
Always
today we're
classic
focusing
and
on
awesome.
a particular batty lad. Phantasma the Bat King! Phantasma makes his presence known right away,
hello,
jumping our
Lord.
portly plumber as a surprise tutorial boss in a sudden nightmare sequence before the bros even make it to Pillow Island. And once you do make it there, Phantasma proves to be quite the adversary. Once a regular bat in the ancient Pillow civilization, Phantasma gorged himself on dreams and nightmares, eventually powering himself.
Wait. So he literally was just a bat and kept spamming Dream Needle, so now he's a boss. That's it?
Up with the
Okay.
Dark Stone, an all-powerful wish-granting artifact powered by the nightmares of the world. Causing a near apocalypse for the Pillow people, Phantasma was sealed in a last-ditch effort deep inside the dream world, with Phantasma's last act to crush the Dark Stone and curse the Pillow into petrified stone forms. So, of course, Phantasma manages to break his seal and begin terrorizing the bros just as they arrive for their vacation. And first Delfino, now this.
I mean, don't forget he also had help from Bowser. How else did he get out of the dream world?
He's got horrible luck with picking his vacation spots, doesn't he? Phantasma manages to be quite the thorn in our hero's side, teaming up with Bowser and being quite the fun villain. He's a discount Dracula, but with a dream flare. That's always fun to see. When we finally meet him face to face at a surprise twist of fate, it's Bowser who portrays the RPG villain this time
Really?
around. So Phantasma decides to throw down with Mario and Luigi, sucking them into the dream world and fighting them on his own turf. And if you thought he was just a simple vampire, boy, you'd be mistaken. Phantasma's got
Bring
tricks
it
like
on.
you wouldn't believe. His mastery over the
bring
dream
it
world
on.
is absolute, bursting out clones like it's going out of style, ghastly fire attacks, unbreakable shields, and the humorously named Antis Munchies, who serve as minions, spiky weapons, and a convenient
edible?
healing snack. He can even separate
they're called
Luigi's
munchies?
superpowered dream cell from Mario and seal him inside one of them, leaving Mario woefully depowered against him. But Phantasma's scariest trick is what happens if Mario's unfortunate enough to fall victim to his nightmares. Every now and then, Phantasma
what?
can hit you with a debuff that puts you to sleep.
Uh-oh.
Already inside a nightmare. And here, all Mario can do is run from Phantasma, hopefully trying to escape the demonic dream dump here and avoiding saw-blade-filled death traps that are just as deadly as the real thing.
But it wasn't real. Your mind makes it real.
Just think about this
Mind
for a
makes it
second.
real, yeah.
Having a nightmare, inside a nightmare, scary enough to deal real damage to you, real enough that the nightmare can hurt you. Physically. Conceptually, this is horrific. Like a messed up
Whoa.
combination of Freddy Krueger and Inception.
When you poop in your dreams,
I was thinking something like that.
Phantasma earns his spot on this list here for that attack alone. His fight's surprisingly
it's
tricky,
bad.
and doesn't really abuse his illusionary skills as much as he could. Still, Phantasma's fight is definitely one of the highlights of Dream Team and the RPGs as a whole. Nintendo games really have a knack for having cool dream demons, don't they? You think Phantasma and Darkrai are drinking buddies?
Oh yeah, most definitely. The both Lords of the Night Vale, so of course they're freaking buddies. Then you got
Remember
Priscilla
that quiet,
having to deal
ugly
with that
duckling
dog.
that likes to read in the corner? He grew up. Zexion was the most mysterious, least interesting of the organization members for a while. He taunted Riku in Chain of Memories for a bit, but he was killed shortly after by Riku Replica. He didn't even have a boss fight until
Well.
Rechain. But when he got that glow up in Rechain, it was glorious. Zexion taunts you with dialogue from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX because Recom is a card game anime, and Riku pulls out his Red Eyes Darkness Dragon to beat up Zexion's Blue Eyes Shining Dragon.
I don't know what any of that means.
Zexion will
Don't
attack
worry
you
about
with
it.
his different lexicons, summoning cyclones, and eventually clones to keep you astray. Targeting the correct Zexion will help you keep up the pressure and kill him quickly, which you will do. You got permanent dark form in this fight, and with how broken card
Oh,
breaks
wow.
are, it's actually pretty hard to lose this fight. Still very satisfying to beat his head in as Riku. His Cage 2 fight ups the ante by forcing you to find the correct lexicon, get out of his magic traps, and play red light, blue light. Yeah, I don't get it either. This fight is much harder, but also more
I don't get it, I
gimmicky
don't.
and not one you can beat quickly. They both have their ups and downs, so I guess pick which one you like. I personally prefer the Chain of Memories fight, but I will also stand that game to death. Don't at me, bro. I'll admit that Zex's illusions aren't as amazing as later fights, but it still shows the range he has as the organization's mage. He was able to trick Riku, put pressure on Sora, and eventually became a great ally to both of them in KH3. Wonder if we'll see
Yeah,
him
that's
again.
nice.
I know the fangirls want him bad.
You know, I like the song that's made today. I don't know if anyone knows
It's no
that it's
secret
from.
that many works of modern-day supernatural psychological horror owe their roots to H.P. Lovecraft. Even today, everyone loves Cthulhu.
The people love me. What can I say?
It's not odd that this influence extends to video games. One video game in particular has
I'm sorry, but that's actually funny. Just imagine that. Cthulhu is like, just appeals and says, people love me. What can I say?
gained widespread notoriety and acclaim. I am, of course, talking about Day of the Tentacle. Just kidding, it's Bloodborne. Bloodborne is
okay.
all about having these strange dreams. Like, is any of this real or not? There's talk of dreams and nightmares, great ones, and you're not sure if you can trust your lying eyes. There is one boss in Bloodborne that exemplifies this conundrum to a T. I speak of the Witches of Hemwick.
Oh,
Wait!
Yeah. It's rough to like something the majority of the fan base hates. But on this one, I'm sticking to my gun.
I mean, it's only number 8, so it's not that light.
Mostly because they're the only boss in the game that directly interacts with the insight mechanic. The more insight you collect, the more you see things as they really
Whoa,
are.
what the?
Supposedly. Or maybe it's simply an illusion designed to drive you to madness. After all, the more insight you have, the more vulnerable you are to frenzy status. The witches are widely considered to be an easier boss fight, but I don't mind that so much. Mostly because the witches are a thinking
Yeah, ammo
boss.
time.
The puzzle of how to cut through their illusions is something I enjoy. I'd argue the whole point of Souls-likes is to figure out a boss and adapt and overcome. If you personally can't figure out the puzzle and dislike the boss because of it, well, get good.
Ooh, you're good.
Whatever the truth of the matter, if there even is one. The witches spawn adds depending on if you have insight or not. Even a single point of insight allows the witches to summon the mad ones to their aid. But maybe
Oh.
the mad ones aren't there at all. A figment of your imagination pulled forth by the witches. Or perhaps they were always there and your ignorance allowed you to ignore them. Out
Maybe.
of sight, out of mind, after all. Now, it's
Oh,
impossible to
false
fight
Hydra.
the witches with no insight on your first try. Even gazing upon the witches is enough to impart your feeble mind with a single point of insight. However,
Click.
should you die or otherwise leave the boss arena, you can spend your insight and re-challenge the witches of Hemwick in blissful ignorance. Cut down the old crones and you move one step closer to something. And by God, fear the old blood.
Yeah, even on the... Oh, wait, no, that's number 6. What the...
Did I ever tell you
Okay.
the definition of insanity? It's where you talk about an awesome video game villain and think you can pull off his accent. For all the limited screen time he got in
okay.
Far Cry 3, Voss demonstrated what made him a legitimate threat. He's cunning, charismatic, unhinged, and unpredictable. Even when his appearances were minimal, he
Element
commanded
of surprise.
a terrifying presence. Ultimately, it all comes to a head when we finally decide to confront and kill the psycho pirate. We think we're getting the jump on him, but surprise, he gets us first. He stabs us with a knife and...
Oh, that was the trip.
I am tripping every single ball that I have!
The world becomes a distorted, trippy nightmare as we find ourselves following the glowy brick road, where everything is dark, smoky, glitchy, and...
I didn't need to see that.
As we journey through the actual insanity, we find ourselves shooting down a whole plethora of bosses running towards us with blades drawn before we finally reach the real boss. Or about as real as a trippy sequence is gonna get. You get your chance to do a little knife swinging at him. He blocks you, but with a little maneuvering, congrats! You managed to
Stab.
out-Voss Voss. Kinda. Yeah, Voss's fate is kinda
Yeah, of course not.
up in the air by the end of the game, only really answered by Far Cry 6's DLC. But even that's up in the air because the
thank
whole
you.
thing is a metaphorical drug dream. Maybe even an actual one, depending on what was in that knife. between the trippy as hell visuals,
Well, more like what was on that night, but
boss's
still.
insane screamings, and yeah, that, I love how symbolic the whole fight is. It feels like you're getting an insight into Voss's twisted brain as you venture forth to take him out. In fact, that Far Cry 6 DLC I mentioned basically confirmed that this is how Voss perceives the world. Looking at these games back to back really makes you wonder who's the real insane one here. The real answer, Citra, for her really icky means to turn these guys into her personal puppets.
Really gross. On to number 4.
There's a big difference between illusion and delusion. An illusion is a scene that is put before you that isn't real or tries to trick you. A delusion is a mindset that you believe something that is usually wrong, and you will go to unbelievable lengths to make it become true.
An illusion is someone tricking you. A delusion is you tricking yourself. There you go.
An illusion is fighting an alien on top of a corporate energy company. The delusion is thinking you're the son of said alien when your daddy is Hojo. Like, come on, Sephi, you really think you get your looks from those two? We were under the delusion that the Final Fantasy VII remake wasn't going to be good, but man was I happy to be wrong, as both games are killing it! The boss fights in both of these games are insane, and when it comes to the remake specifically, Jenova Dreamweaver tops that chart. After going through the insane Chapter 17 and seeing Barrett seemingly die, Jenova pops in her head to scare the crap out of our heroes. Like most remake fights, this battle is in stages. The first stage sees you just avoiding her attacks and killing her tentacles so you can hit the main body. She will use powerful magic AoEs to keep you on your toes and away from her. Once phase 2 pops in, she will summon a bunch of tentacles.
I'm sorry, but that thing just looks like Bulkin from Resident Evil 2 and 3.
And make herself immortal until you kill them all. The tentacles will keep spawning, so you gotta keep killing until they're all gone. A subdued but dramatic version of Jenova's theme plays during these two phases, showing the madness is just warming up. When phase 3 hits, the main Jenova theme plays and it is glorious! Jenova starts raining down acid from above and will transport around as you chase it and finish it off. Despite the graphicness of it all, this was just an illusion created by Jenova. Even in her bio, it says she's shown to create hallucinations, which I guess is different from a delusion and an illusion, but the boss fight's cool, okay?
I guess.
I haven't had a chance to get into Rebirth yet, but if the Jenova fight's there as cool as this one, okay, I'm a little excited. Plus, I'm just excited to dunk on Jenova and Sephi with Kate Sith.
Even I gotta kind of agree to that. On to number 3.
Martin Lee, a.k.a.
Mr. Negative.
Another relatively newer baddie in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. This once philanthropist became negative in every sense of the word. From his negative film palette to his ability to control people with their negative emotions. His story in the comics is tragic as heck, but he hasn't really gotten a chance to shine in other media outlets. But then, everything changed when Insomniac took a crack at it. When the 2018 Spidey game came around, oh mama did Marty get the shine. He became the second biggest villain of the story right beside Doc Ock. Posing as Peter's second hero and a philanthropist, he leads the Inner Demons gang and joins Ock's Sinister Six in a massive terrorist plot to get revenge on Norman Osborn. Turns out our Green Goblin in the making had a hand in causing Martin's condition, which also got his parents killed. So that's,
Damn.
How many lives Norman's ruined? Probably much more considering all the people these guys killed because of him.
So,
remember, kids, whenever anything goes
count.
wrong in the Spidey games, it's most likely Osborn's fault. In fact, wouldn't surprise me if he caused
When in doubt, blame Osborn.
leak in December. Anyways, we're here for the illusions. We have 3 major encounters with Lee, 2 of which involve him trying to warp Spidey's brain. The first encounter is more focused on fighting his shadowy minions, but in the third encounter, the main storyline's penultimate boss fight, Lee himself gets in on the action. Like the first encounter, the world is converted into a monochrome nightmare, Lee himself acting as the primary source of light, ironically. His angry, berating voice echoes through your mind as you chase him through a seemingly never-ending maze. You find yourself in the real world again as you finally catch him, and the battle begins. You have to dodge
Let's do this.
slice after slice from his blade before you can look for an opening and beat him down. All the while you beg for him to stop, but he's not backing down yet. Instead, he drags us back into his nega world, sicking his shadowy minions on us and conjuring
I'd
an
say the
enormous
negative
monster
world.
illusion to try and take a swipe at us. Once again, keep on your toes, dodge as much as you can before finding another opening to literally knock him back to reality.
Whatcha?
Not only is the fight a visual spectacle, but it's pretty freaking harrowing, keeping us on our toes and really
This is
reflecting how
oddly
deep
good.
in Peter's psyche Martin got. Speaking of Peter, notice how the whole time he doesn't quip at all. No witty comebacks, no nicknames. He's just trying to appeal to Martin's humanity, insisting that he
To
still
his
has
friend.
some good in him. We're happy to see that optimism pays off in Spider-Man 2 during Martin's redemption arc, complete with closure with Miles for killing his father. Not surprising, seeing as half the returning baddies in the sequel were redeemed. The
Aw.
other half, yikes.
Well, damn, there's always going to be that one. On to number 2.
Ever since PT, aka Silent Hills, the trend of
Oh,
corridor-based tension-building horror with scary visions that pile up more and more has taken the horror community by storm.
Oh, yeah,
It's mainly
that's
because
classic.
Konami screwed the original game over, but it's also because the formula just works. Even some of the
Yeah,
biggest
it just
horror
does.
games as of
It
late
just
took
does.
a page from PT and put their own spin on it, including Resident Evil. In Village, the second of the 4 lords you go after is
yes.
Donna Beneviento, dollmaker and puppeteer of Angie. And, the real best girl of Resident Evil Village? Who wrote this?
Oh,
As the shrinking violet of Miranda's children, Donna doesn't fight you head on. She prefers to take you down slowly and methodically. She's
she also makes you completely remove every weapon you have. Like, I'm not kidding. The moment you enter your whole basement, you have nothing. No guns, nothing to heal. You are as naked as the day you were born.
starts off by luring Ethan into her mansion with illusions of Mia. Once he's in, she baits him with a flask of one of Rosa's parts before pulling it away, alongside all his firearms.
I think hitting a defenseless child is my business.
From here, you're left pretty much defenseless as you scour around the basement of the mansion and take apart the Jenga puzzle that is the Mia doll lying on the table. All the while, Mia's voices ring in your head, and the stuff she says range from wholesome memories to ominous whispers. Eventually, you start hearing a baby crying,
Oh,
and as you return to where the
God,
doll
that sound.
is, you're greeted with this.
Yeah. Elevator, now. Go, 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 go,
I don't
go.
know what inner demons Ethan's got to conjure that out of his mind, but someone get this guy a priest. This
And a bit
thing
of it.
is Donna's ace in the hole against Ethan's deteriorating psyche. Is it a physical abomination created by the mold, or an
I don't-
illusion that kills him with a heart attack? Either way, this
I think it's the
payoff is a
illusion
surefire
one.
ticket to parental trauma. Once you finally escape that, Donna will try to stop you one
Yeah.
last time by putting you through a game of hide and seek with Angie. You gotta find her across the mansion before the other dolls come in and gradually tear into you. All the while, you only hear ominous chanting in the
you
background,
gotta
followed by
stab.
the laughter of those dolls getting louder the longer it takes you to find Angie. Once you stab the doll 3 times, the hallucination finally ends and Donna
And
is
boom.
dead. Illusion is Beneviento's bread
Everything
and
is
butter,
wrong.
gouging into Ethan's parental dilemma and monstrifying it. It's all fully rooted in how she goes about taking you down indirectly. Granted, I don't blame her for keeping her distance, considering you just gunned down this thing.
Oh, yeah.
What we got
Dragon.
from it is a spectacular display of slow, suspenseful horror that made him mark as one of, if not, the scariest moment in any Resident Evil game.
Oh, oh. God, I don't like that. On to the honorable mention. Oh, question
Eggman and
hold?
the Phantom Ruby Heavies from Sonic Mania. Great fight showing Eggman's descent into madness, but the illusory elements are too subtle. Ironically. Ra's al Ghul, Batman Arkham City. Blood of the
Ooh,
Demon
that's a
is
good one.
hell of a drug. Zant, Twilight Princess. Unsure
Really?
how much of this zany fight is an illusion. Does that give or take away points? Roger
Unknown.
Retton's Ace Attorney. Conceptually, you're dismantling a magic trick that confused other stage magicians. Gameplay-wise, it's just another case.
Alright, on number 1. Oh, what? No, come on. Wait, is this gonna be an ad?
Sorry about that, folks. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, reason number 1 why Okami is Josh's all-time favorite game.
No! Not even as a gag!
You'll have to face the music when we reach the subscriber goal, dear.
I have enough patience till then!
Oh boy.
Moving on.
Okay,
I've
we're
talked
back.
countless times about the Arkham series, especially on these boss lists.
Oh,
there
yeah,
have been a lot
very.
of highs, plenty of lows.
What?
Yeesh, maybe not that low.
Oh,
anyway, if
that's
that intro
Suicide
gag or
Squad?
context didn't give it away, we're talking about Scarecrow from Arkham Asylum again. Just a recap for those out of the loop. Scarecrow, a sadistic scientist obsessed with spreading fear, is among the inmates on the loose throughout the asylum. Now and then we end up downwind of his patented
And of course, a creator of the well-known fear toxin.
fear gas. Every dosage drags the Bat into intense hallucinations where he must face 3 of his worst fears. His fear of failure, being forced to relive the worst day of his life, and the horrifying possibility that he's no different from the psychopaths he protects Gotham from. The last one was so effective, I legit thought the game glitched. After each hallucination, the Bat ends up trapped in Scarecrow's nightmare realm, where he is literally large and in charge.
I'm the boogeyman, and I'm coming to get you.
To escape this
Oh,
literal nightmare, you have to
I
sneak
actually like
around
this.
the
This was
Titanic
fun.
Scarecrow without being spotted, reach the spotlight, and force the dear doctor to, well,
See the light.
In the later
Yeah.
nightmares, you also have to fight your way through masses of skeleton warriors. Thankfully, unlike the thugs in the real world, they don't get back up after you knock them out the first time. It may seem obvious
They
to put
get knocked
these
down,
boss fights
and they
at
don't get
number
up
1,
again.
but can you blame me? The Scarecrow encounters in Asylum are arguably some of the trippiest in the whole series. And because we're in the driver's seat, we get to see firsthand how reality falls apart around the Bat, trapping him in his worst fears and a hellish nightmare landscape.
I still like
after a
this.
while, you start to see the hints that nothing's as it seems, but they're still so subtle
wait,
that they
metal.
catch you off guard when they happen.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
Oh yeah, one of my writers
Oh, that
pointed
still
out that
makes me jump a little.
Scarecrow's size reflects how much of a grip he has on his victim's psyche. And considering everything Batsy's endured in his life, it makes sense that his hallucinations are gonna hit extra hard. And it kinda makes sense having Scarecrow be the endgame baddie for Night because when he weaponizes fear, life becomes an inescapable nightmare where you can't tell what's real and what's not.
There
And
is
the only
no
thing worse
escape.
than facing down a real-life supervillain is not having control of your mind. I'm Josh Scorcher, and dang it, honey!
He's the fiery Joker, and next time, it's personal.
Well, I can't wait for more. Well, everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to do is going to be in the description below, and I'll see all you kids next time when we flick on. Peace out.